Need more volume. I'll hand you my mic if that's all right with you until then. So, Let's Talk Fan. It releases on Friday. It's been an amazing journey, I presume. We'll start first of all. How did it feel to be playing opposite yourself, as it were?
Well, actually, one of the most special parts, I want to first thank Madame Tussauds for allowing us to shoot here and then allowing us this interview here. This is, I've always found it odd to come and stand next to my own statue. Can you hear me?
Can we get a bit more volume on Mr. Khan's mic, please?
So, the first time when I saw it here also, I'm a little awkward, facing myself. I get really embarrassed. To do a whole film like that with a person who kind of looks like you, this one still looks exactly like me. But Gaurav in the movies look alike, he doesn't exactly look like me. And it was quite surreal. Actually, I must say, it was when, inshallah, everyone watches the film, it's actually very schizophrenic. Because, you have a look-alike trying to be like the actor in the film, and at a certain time the actor kind of does him. So it was very schizophrenic. I watched the film about 5 days back, and I don't seem to recognize him or relate to that character at all. Even in the film, Aditya Chopra, Manish Sharma, everyone refers to me as Shah Sir, and refers to him as Gaurav. Even on the sets, it was like, Gaurav ko yahan le aao. Arey, Gaurav ka scene. And when I was doing the scene, Shah Sir, you're seeing the same.
Was it kind of out-of-body experience as well, in terms of kind of seeing a reflection of yourself, but not quite?
It is actually. It's very awkward. I must say this when I was watching the film 5 days ago. It is like, I'm looking at it and I'm getting, not creeped out, but it's a strange feeling. It's a very strange feeling because he's been created by lots of people, whether it's the costume department, the makeup artist, the VFX people, the director himself, the writer, the gait, the walk. I lost some weight for this film in December, Jan, and the whole vibe is, it's a different kind of a beast. It's someone that we all are part of, and we still don't know him well enough. Whatever he's doing in the film, we have written and enacted, but when we see it, he could do something counter to what we have written. He doesn't seem to be someone we can even call upon. You can't call Gaurav in a press conference. It's just very awkward.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, we're almost close. Yeah. Just for the layman, Shah Rukh, if you could tell us what the experience is to shoot a double role in a film. How do you go about that? You play Arya Khanna and you play Gaurav. Do you shoot one scene first and then do the other side of that?
If you shoot a double role, it is anyway a little complicated, especially in the moving shots. But this film we decided not to use a machine called Milo, which actually, if you program it, it moves every time 100 times without even differing by a millimeter. So, but it's a humongous machine who take this whole place up. So this film is shot mostly handheld, which makes it 10 times more difficult. Because once you've done a moving shot, and the other guy has to move, you have to kind of change the whole background, everybody else in the background, all the crowds. So this is very complicated. Then because he's not like me that I put my hair on one side and act like the other and change clothes. The makeup used to take about 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
So there were days when and you have to shoot the same on the same day, the scene on the same day because you forget things. And the way to do it, there's a technique I have developed doing double roles is I see the dialogues and pre-record them and then try to follow it, but it's a very strange thing to do. You have to rehearse about 100 times and then it would be like, मैं अपनी लाइफ के 5 मिनट भी क्यों दूं तुमको? He looks up, scratches his nose, and says, मैं आपका fan. So you have to record everything, and then you just sit down there and act with nothing else in front of you, just the voice, and then the actions. He looks at him, scratches his nose, fan. So you have to follow all the instructions. It's very strange. Everybody just is quiet and listening to what's happening, and you have to pre-record it. It's like a sing song, but it's not a song. You can't innovate too much within that gap. So you have to block it by doing about 40, 60 rehearsals already.
And is that played back to you on set?
It's played back, yeah. So it's roll camera, sound, action, and all plays back. And you're supposed to follow those, especially in touching scenes. because you have to touch exactly at the same place. So those are marked on the camera. So if I have to touch his elbow, the camera was upper, little up, and you have to redo the whole scene again. It's very difficult, it's very complicated.
And now that brings me on to, obviously, working with Yash Raj Films has been a long-standing relationship for you. But Manish Sharma is, I guess, in terms of experience, a very young director. How was that? I mean, he's on his third film now, working with yourself. I mean, was that a young energy brought to it, or would a film like this be presumed that you would need a more experienced director?
I'm a big believer, and I think it's true. Creativity or maturity of writing or storytelling, film or otherwise, cannot really be judged by age. I mean, he's just an extremely creative boy, and for me, he's as fantastic as a senior director that I work with, because as long as you're very clear what you are trying to say in your film. I've worked with him as an assistant director in Ramne Banani Jodi, so I know him very well. Also, he's from Delhi, and Delhiites have a way of being. They can seem and come across as rude or arrogant, but they're not. They just say it as is. So, I'm not like him. So it's you can get a little taken aback, but because I know everyone speaks like this in Delhi, and they're quite easy about how they communicate. So it was good to work with them. And most of the boys and girls kind of have been from Delhi or have watched my films and liked me. I think one of the conditions to work on the film is that you have to like my films and know about all my films. So what was very strange is, him telling me and giving me instructions was wonderful, but I had to do some of my scenes from old films like Bazigar, and when I would do it, he'd come and say, it's not as good as what you did 10 years ago, so you have to do it all over again. I'm like, I know how I did it. He said, no, I've seen it 10 times. I think you have to do it differently.
Wow.
So that was strange, but it was great fun working with him.
And how has that changed within the film industry? Obviously, I mean, with younger directors, male and female coming through, I mean, it's probably not the greatest word to use, but the hierarchy has changed. I know when I worked with you briefly on Jab Tak Hai Jaan, for me, even just being in the scene with you and like hugging you at one point was kind of like, oh my god, do you know what I mean, for a moment. But now the directors and stuff are much more verbal and physical, and the approach to someone as senior as you is very different. Is that helpful, or is that kind of jarring?
No, I think it's refreshing and very nice, because otherwise, there was a certain amount of hierarchy and etiquette, and when I joined the film industry, you had to come on sets and touch everybody's feet, the senior people, and I used to find that very awkward, and I still find it awkward. But now it's all changed, I mean, on backslapping terms, everybody has their own dignity and respect for each other. But you say it as is, and like earlier, if I turned around and asked an assistant director, was it okay? He would look at the director and say, he'd just keep his eyes down. Now you turn around and tell the Cinderella, I didn't like it, but I think the director thinks it's okay, so it must be alright. Yes.
If it was my film, I would get you to do it again.
And it's okay to have younger directors, as long as they don't get younger actors. I'm happy.
Okay, very good. I know you champion a lot of young actors as well. I know that for sure. So. Let's talk about, sorry, I think this mic's cutting out, but apologies. I'll open it up in just a second, but just very quickly, I mean, being fans of people, obviously, I mean, this room is full of amazing Hollywood and Indian film stars as well. I mean, who are you a fan of?
While growing up, I mean, in films, Mr. Bachchan, of course, because my time, 80s, and when I was watching films, was full of Mr. Bachchan. So I'm a big lover of his work, himself, Dharmendra, Mr. Rishi Kapoor, and Saira Bano, Mumtaz. And also, initially when I joined him, the young ladies who were working, like Madhuri, Juhi, I was a big fan of theirs. I used to watch their films and really love them. So it still is, as a matter of fact, when I meet Madhuri and Juhi, I'm still kind of fan-like. In terms of sports people, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, I really admired. My father used to tell me stories. Milkha Singh, Mother Teresa. I'd like lots of people. Bruce Jenner. Honestly, it was the most shocking thing. One night I was watching. I'd never seen the Kardashians keeping up with the Kardashians. And my daughter was watching it, and I think I'd met the ladies when they were young girls, and I met them. I think because I'd heard they're Bruce Jenner's daughters. A long time back in London, maybe, I think somewhere. And so I said, Mr. Bruce Jenner is like, I love him because and she's like, he's no longer Bruce Jenner. because I saw the seasons now.
Yeah.
That's not possible. And then she introduced me to that. And so it's a strange thing. Amongst the men and women I like, Bruce Jenner falls into both the categories.
For both reasons. And any Gaurav-isms within you about being a fan of someone? Were you ever slightly obsessive at all?
No, I think only about my kids. I think I need to control that. But otherwise, no. I've never been, I've explained this before, I'll say it again. From the age of 15 to 25, when you have the luxury of being a fan or selflessly and unconditionally loving someone, cutting their pictures out, sticking posters, I had to kind of start fending for myself. I had to do a job, I had to start working, finish my studies, and you know. So between 15 and 25, when is the best time to be a fan? I was working, didn't have the luxury of being a fan, and by 25 I became a star. So I tell everyone, before I became a fan, I became a star. So I've had the unfortunate upbringing of not really having the I met Mr. Michael Jackson, and I just saw him, I couldn't take a picture. I've met Madonna, people I love, but I was always like, no, I can't dedicate my life towards loving someone so much because I had to get back to work. So no, I've never really had that kind of fan moment. So.
But you also, the last time we went for Dilwale, you also released a quote saying the stuff that you were supposed to do between 15 and 25, you're now starting to do that and enjoying yourself more.
Oh yes, I really intend to do that. I just turned 50 and I would love to now have the luxury of being in love, falling in love unconditionally with someone who I may never meet or keep a picture of in my diaries.
That would be fabulous. Well, I can tell you have a fan in my 4.5-year-old daughter as well, who went to school yesterday and said, Dada is going to spend the day with Shah Rukh Khan to one of her classrooms. So, and she told her white teachers, who then went, oh, okay, Aliyah, that's great. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to open it up to the floor. I think Erica is out there with the mic. Are you, Erica? Oh, Samir's there as well. Let's start with the lady on the front row here. It'll be a good start.
For Digital Spy. Great to see you, Mr. Khan.
Thank you, good to see you too.
After standing in the shoes of a fan for this film, how did it help you understand your fans and how they feel about you? And also after meeting the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, is it fair to say that you are now a fan of the royal couple? Okay.
The first part, I've always been a little surprised that people can like you so much. You know, I have so many people that come outside my house. When I meet people around the world, mothers love me like their own child, and girls and boys, they think of me with a lot of ownership. And I find, not strange, I find that how could they like me so much? I'm just an actor. And a lot of stuff that I do is what you see of me, apart from a press conference or an interview, is mainly an image that I've created. And I don't know, I get very scared that people might get very disappointed when they meet me in real life. God, he's so boring. I do remember a lot of times I get this, patla bahut hai, itna chota hai, film mein se bada bada lag gaya tu, especially all the Punjabi ladies, they find me extremely small. And I'm like, no, and then I have to make an excuse, I'm just, dieting for losing weight for a film. So it's a little odd. So I'm always under this thought that would they like me if they got to know me personally? I think personally I'm not as interesting perhaps as I'm in some of my film roles that people might have liked. This fan is not a creation of what I feel for them or what I understand of them. I'm just extremely grateful to them, everyone who likes me. So everything that I do is geared towards, it's done with a lot of humility. I cannot say it any other way. I need to be gracious, I need to be going out of my way to say thank you for liking me so much for things that maybe I'm not. This has been based on mostly the storytelling part of it. But a 24-year-old, just unconditionally in love, believing that everything he thinks is true, does not realize the enormity of his actions, right or wrong. Like you ask a kid of 23 and say, you want to do this? Yes. How? I don't know. Then I will still do it. It's like that kind of feeling. So I captured that more. I tried to portray that more through Gaurav. Whereas yes, the Royal Highnesses, they were wonderful. I don't know how correct it is to keep on talking about them, but they were very gracious, very beautiful. I spent a lot of time with them and tried to explain the dishes they were eating. And one of my, I don't know food very well. So at one moment I didn't know what a palak is called in English. And I was like, somebody tell me, spinach, yes, this is spinach. So I didn't want to, in any which way, disappoint them with my knowledge of Indian food either. But they were really nice and very, very sweet and spent a lot of time. So I was quite a fan now, having met them, yes.
Did they eat with their hands or did they use knife and fork?
I was very conscious of looking at them because I don't know what the protocol is. That, can you be found staring at royalty or not? So I was like this. I'm very awkward with social gatherings. So
I'm sure it's very reflective in the same way that the hierarchy within the royal family has changed like it has in the film industry.
Well, yeah,
they're probably a lot more accessible.
I don't know if the word is right, but they're very cool and very kind and very normal. I expected perhaps. I've met some royalty, but they're of the older generation, so there is a certain amount of respect you anyway feel that you have to do. But this was really easy, and they were like a regular young couple. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you for that. Who's next? Lady in the red here. Oh, okay, go. Sorry.
Hi, Shah Rukh. My name is Neha from Like Radio.
Neha?
Hi, yes, Neha Bhatt. Hi, would you be upset if I said that Gaurav looks really good?
No, I won't.
He looks quite happy with that comment.
I just told someone, I forget, I was talking to someone yesterday, the day before, and I said, it's the first time somebody must have spent millions of dollars to make me look not like me. And there was this lady, she said, but I really find him very nice, he's very cute. Yeah, so, one of the first test we did, and we nearly shelved the film actually because it failed so badly. Not because of anybody's mistake, but the experience of not having done this before. I looked like a churel in it. I was like a witch. There's a scene we did, we shot 10 days of action sequence, which is not in the film anymore because of the makeup. It was really difficult to shoot it. We shot 20 hours a day, and then we saw it, and nobody was saying anything till one of the ladies and Pooja just pointed out, he looks not nice, he looks not. And then suddenly we all thought, yeah, he looked like a witch. So it's gone through a lot of transformation. I'm happy he doesn't look like a witch anymore.
Well, Gaurav looks good, but Aryan Khanna looks even better.
And that's the way it should be.
I just have one question. How important was it for you to make Fan? Is there a message that you wanted to give out to your fans?
Sorry, I didn't understand that.
How important was it for you to make this film? And is there a message that you want to give out to your fans with this film?
There's a part of it I can talk about, but essentially, when you make a film, it's just to tell a story. I've always said this, messages are for the post offices. Movies should just entertain you and emotionally enrich you, maybe, make you happy, sad, make you think about it. But having said that, the experience of what Gaurav does in the film, as the film progresses, the story unfolds, a couple of things I can tell people if they really like someone. One, physically don't hurt yourself or the other. Second, it's really nice. There's a line in the film which the actor tells. He says, you and I are very regular people. We were regular people. We come from regular backgrounds, and things went a different way for me, and I became a movie star. Don't try to be me. Be yourself. You can love me as much as you want. Perhaps take a few moments of my life to inspire yourself if need be. But what would be wonderful is that you're such a good guy, you're so intelligent, and we have the same background. You could really achieve a lot more in life being yourself instead of trying to be a shadow of someone. So I think I'm pleased I'm not being patronizing to people who like me or other people. As most likely you have to like other people, but just be realizing that there is no one more important than yourself. Even if you are a mad fan of someone, that person is really lovely and beautiful, but not more importantly. So look after yourself first before just completely dedicating your life to anyone.
Inspiring words. Right, so then, Lady in Red.
Hi Shah Rukh, I'm Aisha from Asian Sunday.
Hi, Shah.
You look great as always.
Thank you.
Just very quickly, I want to pick on a previous question. Another very wonderful thing that you share with the royal couple is an adorable toddler, so Abram and Prince George. Did you exchange any notes at all on that?
Yeah, Her Royal Highness did speak about how much when they have to travel. Though this was a short visit, that she does miss the babies when she's away, which is what I think is exactly the same feeling I have right now. I didn't ask her, like me, does she do FaceTime? But yeah, they talked about that, and then I was sharing my experience that I have 3 of them, and how wonderful it is that I've had a late child, which is even nicer. Yeah, but they didn't talk about it.
And my question to you is, in the trailer we see this bit where Gaurav asks Aryan Khanna for 5 minutes of his life. If the question was to you, if you could ask for 5 minutes with anyone, in the world, at any given time, who would it be? 5 minutes.
I'd probably ask for longer. I mean, there's nothing you can do much in 5 minutes really. Yeah, but some of the people that I've admired growing up, and I still don't know. I'm very shy in my personal life. So even people that I really like and want to talk with, I know I get kind of tongue-tied and I don't know what to say. But yeah, like I said, I would love to exchange a few, not punches, but just a few notes with Muhammad Ali. I would have wanted more than 5-10 minutes. So I did get an opportunity to meet Mother Teresa. But that was when I was very young, didn't perhaps even comprehend the greatness that she stands for. And I'm sure I could have gone and I should have spent a little more time talking with her. But I got so, I just stood there, took a picture, I guess, and just went off. Michael Jackson, yeah. And I find him very interesting and intriguing, and a great talent. So show business, then there are loads of people. But at this point, the way my life goes, and I'm working 18 hours a day, I really like 5-10 minutes with my own children. And especially when they're studying abroad, so I hardly get any time with them.
Thank you.
One question
Thank you.
right here at the back. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Hi Shah Rukh, thank you for coming back to London, right at the back. You've met so many people, you've had so many interviews with fans, with journalists, etc. Has there been any one question that any fan has asked you, or either on Twitter or in person, which has really made you think and ponder a very deep question, or maybe a very simple question which made you, you are somebody who's never endured for answers, but made you also wonder what answer to give to that?
Nobody's ever really asked me something very cerebral, or sometimes they ask me simple stuff. I think I bore them with cerebral answers on Twitter. But there are some very simple things that, what you like to do in your free time. But I don't know, if I ask you this, do you have an answer? Because I've never thought of it. You kind of get into free time and then decide what is your favorite holiday destination. I have no idea. I holiday wherever I'm sent. So I have no issue like that. But yeah, a lot of times, which is the favorite book? And then you're like, at loss of words, which was mine. And I have so many favorite books. But when people ask me, yes, I forget, and why? And then I actually go back to that book and reread it. Find out, go to my library and sit down. So some very simple things, but also I think the pace of my life is such that a lot of the regular things, I don't know how to remember them anymore. It's not age, it's just the pace of my life. I'm like moving around, meeting so many people, like you said, talking to so many people. Sometimes I've just lost track of the simplest things in life, like which is my favorite color now. I don't know. I wear so many colors my designers give me, and I think I look okay in each one of them because they say so. So I don't know which is the favorite color I have, except a pair of blue jeans. But besides that, yeah, I get lost at a lot of. I have to think. When I do this Ask SRK on Twitter, I really have to think answers. Yeah, it's a very simple question. What is the first thing I do in the morning? Because first thing in the morning, I think I'm going for a shot. So I forget what I do, then I have to think of all these simple things.
Hello, I am Lavina Tandon from
Hi,
Ashton.
Lavina.
Hello, Shah Rukh. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you for being
I
here.
wish we could have interviewed you, but then anyhow. 2 questions, very quickly. In your family, who is your biggest fan? And do you sometimes, like us, feel challenged dealing with your kids as well when they're growing up, answering your questions? And also in life, have you met anyone as obsessed, probably a fan, like in your film?
Now I think, I know the first part easily, so I'm not going to take too long thinking about it, like I said, for all the questions later. I think because of my silliness, antics, and perhaps being of a personality which is a little more outgoing than my early two kids, Aryan and Sohana. Sohana was very shy. Aryan was a little reserved, and he was very macho very early, very alpha male. But I think Abraham is most attracted to me in the house. He gets like, I think he asks for me more often than anyone else. And I don't know, they think I have trained him to write, or maybe I have. But I can ask him, who do you love more? And he always says Papa. So I think, yeah, he's kind of fan-like. Second part you asked is, do I have issues? I find teenagers so lazy and grumpy. I don't know, they were okay about 3-4 years back. And then now they're only just lying down and they're making faces in the telephone, and the same face. And you ask them something, yeah, on the phone, I just call my daughter and I say, hello. She's never enthusiastic. It's all, yeah, hello, yeah. Baby, are you unwell? No. And the no's are the same, and yeses are the same with a strange tone. No, yes. So it's this little, I don't have any complaint, they're beautiful, and they're very nice and they're very sorted. My son got into a big college which he really wanted to get into, and he didn't tell me. I was in Dubai doing, actually in the middle of an interview, and my phone came that, he really wants to speak with you. And I said, hi, what happened? Where are you? I said, Dubai. What are you in Dubai? I thought you were in Delhi. He said, no, I just flew down to Dubai. I said, by the way, I gone to that college. I really thought he said he's been rejected from the college. So the lack of enthusiasm they have for just breathing, I find that a little irritating. And obsessiveness, have I really met someone like Gaurav? Is that your... No, I've met people who, there are these young ladies here, I've mentioned them before, they come from Germany and parts of Europe, they always hang out with me. Yeah. So they're lovely, they're beautiful. And no, nobody really obsessive. And I've been saying this because I have a lot of lady fans. So they are really gentle and nice. So it's not, I've never had an aggressive or mean. Yeah, of course, sometimes walking in a public place or on Twitter, you'll have people abusing and behaving badly. But I think they're just ill-mannered. They're not really obsessive or fan-like or dangerous.
Hi, I'm Sonika from DCB.
I didn't get your name, darling.
Sonika.
Sonika.
And my question is kind of similar to the question before, but has anyone done a fan done something to surprise you? Do you think you'll ever meet a fan like Gaurav if you haven't met them yet?
No, I don't think I'll be a fan like Gaurav. I think it's too selfless and too innocent. I passed that age of being so selfless and so innocent. Gaurav is extremely innocent. There's certain scenes in the film which your heart goes out to him. That how can anyone be so naive and innocent, not know the reality, just be in love so unconditionally. So, no, I think I've passed that stage. Did I meet someone like that? Will I ever meet anyone like that?
Can you tell the future as well?
No,
as well as being the superstar.
No, I've narrated the story. I've had a fan who's taken off his clothes, jumped into my pool and just walked away. That's all he wanted to do. He didn't want to meet me.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, but
I just had the opportunity, so I took the chance.
that's okay. And I don't know how to tell him I never jump into the pool. So he didn't bathe in my water. I've had some people climb 7 stories on the pipe on the side of the house and come into my house. But none so scary or dangerous that cannot be handled. Physically, some ladies are strong. And when they try to hold you, I get a little, it's the same Punjabi problem. In real life, I'm very small.
Brilliant.
Hi,
Yes.
my name is Sinobert. I'm from Biz Asian Showbiz. Sinobert. My question is that you've got quite a few offbeat films coming out with Fan and then Race later on in the year. Was it a conscious decision for you to do offbeat films after you've done quite commercial ones?
No, actually these films were done much before. Fan was shot during Happy New Year, and we had intended it to come last year, 15th August, but we didn't realize the VFX would take so long. Race was also actually shot a month after Fan and finished, but I got injured and I had to break the shoot for 30 days, so I had to finish it now. So it was a mix at that time. I think Fan should have been 4 months after Happy New Year, what we had thought and how we had shot it. I was shooting in the middle of Happy New Year. So it's been 2.5 years. We didn't realize it would take so long. So no, at any given time, there's no, I think people give too much import to how I think and do a film that now I'll change the way I think. No, I have always for 25 years, whether it was Adar, Bazigar, Chak De, My Name is Khan, whichever film, the ones that people seem to like more in terms of intellect. I've done films which I just felt like doing at that point. It's very important for me to wake up in the morning and be excited with the thought that I'm trying to portray. If I don't, and I do it for other reasons than myself to begin with, and the people that I work with, then it would be very difficult for me to work 15 hours a day or something. It would get just like a job. So these were films I got very excited about, and the new ones also. I mean, Race is actually an old film, so to say, but just got finished. I just wrapped it 5-7 days back. Yeah, so, and the other ones also that I'm doing. It's always, I'm going to do a frothy film now. No, I think I'm in Mr. Anand Rai's film we're just discussing, I'm a dwarf. Now that's awkward and strange and different, and how he's going to portray it and what we're going to do with the film. I find it very exciting and challenging. I've never done it, so hopefully it'll be my own Apu Raja. So I just do the films that excite me, but never a conscious decision that I should do this at this time, a patriotic one to release on 15th August, or a happy one to release. But the commercial films, we think like that. You know, a Christmas film has to be over-the-top, colourful, happy film. But otherwise, no. There is no other thought that goes into it.
Hello, Mr. Khan. I'm Ashi and I'm from Body Spice.
Sorry, I didn't get your name again.
Ashi.
Ashi.
Ashi. Such a pleasure to meet you and thank you for being such an inspiration. What are you personally taking away from this film?
Just one thing, how not to be Shah Rukh Khan. You know, it is difficult, I'll be honest, and I'm very upfront in front of people because I want people to understand as much as they can when they meet me, to know that there are parts of an actor that I need to talk about and expose so that youngsters understand. It's difficult not being yourself after being liked for being yourself for so many years. It's difficult. I'm a mannerized actor, I'm a stylized actor. I can drop all that for certain films when I'm in that world or zone, like say Achak De or My Name is Khan. But mostly, the films that we do are films geared towards a large number of people. So you do play yourself a lot. And I know how to do that and how not to do that. But this film, and I hope people kind of appreciate the effort, and not because I'm saying make it a big hit or something, but it really gave me confidence to try and be not myself. And it's difficult. It's really difficult, you know. 25 years, day in, day out, there are moments, not, it's not a joke, but people love the fact that I put my arms out. And I'm not saying I don't need to put it in a film, but somewhere I learned and got confident a lot more in this film than the ones I've done previously, how not to be myself and still be able to get lots of people to be attracted to that character. So it's not that how to deeper play a character, but how not to be Shah Rukh Khan. I think that's especially with Gaurav. It's given me immense, and even Aryan Khanna, because he's a movie star. And I've not played him, hopefully, like I am in personal life. It's very different from me. It's a more real character, less flamboyant, and perhaps even a little more worried about life than I am. So it's very interesting that I've been able to do these things in fact. Thank you, Asha.
Hi, this is Stylish Ram, VacanCultureVulture.com. Hi, welcome to London, Shah Rukh.
Thank you very much.
Did you have to think a lot about the concept behind this movie, or was it a very natural choice for you to make? Would you ever do an independent movie or a Hollywood film? What kind of criteria would you employ when you were perhaps being offered a role in a Western movie?
The first one, I think the concept is extremely unique and undoable actually. You know, a lot of people are claiming this movie maybe like Fan, or some guys put a case I've heard in India. But I think it's an extremely unique story. And if you hear it, your first instinctive reaction, oh, this can't be done. And when we did go to places in Hollywood and meet the experts, they also kind of felt it's difficult to do this, you know. And we took it, and a couple of times, like I said, we nearly shut it ourselves. We just, it's not happening. But that's like the most exciting part about doing this film, really. That is so unique. Why would I think of a film like this? Because most of the people think it can't be done. And you had an amazing friend and a producer who's not silly. He understands cinema. He's made Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. You have an actor who's going to be directed by a young boy completely for 10 years has lived with the story, which is undoable. And then, you know, so the whole thing, and again, a very small unit of 45, 50 people. It's not a 200-unit film. But they all believed, just because it can't be done, let's do it. So I think that was the main reason for Fan. Second part, I've never really been offered a big Western film. When I say a big Western film, I don't mean a blockbuster. An interesting enough role in a Western film. So I don't know, I don't have an agent. And I keep saying this, I don't know how many people would like a 50-year-old big mop of hair, brown hero, who has no unique, I don't do kung fu, or I can't dance like John Travolta. So I think they have enough actors like that. But given an opportunity, yes, I would like to try and create a character which is not, stereotypical from the subcontinent. Would like to create an actor or a star or a character in a film which is universal, but I don't have the opportunity, or nobody's offered it.
Just going on that as well, obviously Priyanka and Deepika, two people that you've played a big part of their lives, are now working in Hollywood on two big films. I mean, how do you feel about that? Is there scope for Indian actors and stars to do more work over there?
Absolutely. You see, the bottom line, and I'm going to take some more names apart from Deepika and Priyanka, Irfan Khan, Om Puri, Anupam Kher, and some maybe I'm not remembering, but if you notice, they are all powerhouses of talent. They have the talent on the side. They are wonderful actors. And I think if you're a good actor, and a hard-working actor like all of them are, there is no distinction between where you come from. Language is not a barrier. I think color is not a barrier. I think it's just about how well you act, and you'll be accepted the world over. So extremely proud. And at the same time, I think it just makes you and everybody else very encouraged. That yeah, as long as you know your craft, the world is at your disposal to, exploit it on or showcase it on.
You're in control of a lot of the work that you do, obviously through rituals and stuff. Is there something that you are planning to play and create a character in the Western world of cinema from your side as opposed to waiting for someone to come to you?
I think more than creating a character is the film format that we have to work on. The films have to be acceptable in the format that the Western world or the rest of the world, except India. I mean, like I just mentioned, I think perhaps we're the only country with an intermission in a film. So we need to change that. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to show off or say something very big about fan. This is a humble offering. But this one is geared towards that kind of cinema. Manish, these new directors think like that without making it un-Indian. It doesn't have songs, this one, which is a step. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it has an interval, but it's a shorter film. It's a 2 hour, 5, 7 minute film. So and it's a thriller. It's a pure thriller. It's driven by being an emotional thriller film. It's not like Ikana Dalenge. And we're talking about a Bollywood movie star. We could easily have 2 item numbers in it, show him shooting. But this is very true to the form. And I think more than the characters, if you're true to the form of cinema that international people used to liking, and inshallah, yeah, when we get a chance, but fan is a move in that direction. And hopefully people in the Western world will really appreciate it.
But definitely the winds are changing. I remember I spoke to Karan Johar about 5 or 6 years ago, and he was saying the format of Indian cinema is changing so much. In previous times, they used to put a song at the top of the film because they knew the audience would be 15 minutes late anyway, so they wouldn't miss any of the story. That's definitely changing. So hopefully we'll see that happen. Let's take one last question. Mumtaz.
Hello, Mumtaz from Asiana. Hi. So I want to touch on merchandise. There is one song that's playing on the movie channels, and it's your fan, and he's surrounded by Shah Rukh Khan cutout and t-shirts and mugs. There's so much merchandise out there. So what's been the most bizarre, unexpected Shah Rukh Khan merchandise you've come across? And also, when I heard about this film, I confess, I thought it was very much, sounded like a vanity project, a bit self-indulgent to do a film about yourself. I watched Bula Baba, and there was a bit of character similar, bit of Shah Rukh Khan obsession in that film. And this, when I first heard about it, I didn't think, oh, he's taken it to another level, in a whole film about himself. So what do you think of that? I mean, what's your actual response? Do you think this is a vanity project? Do you think that's positive or negative? Or how would you like to kind of deal with people who are thinking that?
Actually, I realized this because we were trying to keep the story of the film under wraps, especially the look. Unfortunately, the first day we shot the film, it all came out. We were shooting outside the house, and press was there, and we didn't want people to see with those marks and stuff, and it came out. And we were in Delhi when we released. I'll answer the Jabra fan song question also, the merchandise one. When we were releasing that song, there was a gentleman sitting in the press who's known me for, I recognize him, he's a senior journalist, but he had a very strange question about the whole film, and that's when I realized that people might mistake it for a completely narcissistic, self-indulgent, self-obsessed movie star at the age of 50 going, I'm going to start making films about my fan and I'm the star and I'm everything and me and nobody else. So I looked at him and asked Manish, what's the story of this film? So Manish said, I'm really sorry, I can't at this point, divulge the full story, but it's a thrill. Well, how will you hold our interest? So he said, because I'll try and tell a story later. But we know everything about Shah Rukh. So he says, yeah, but it's not about. It is like a documentary, no? And that's when we realized that, people are thinking it's not a narcissistic, self-indulgent film. I think the core of the film is, and the most interesting part of the film, one part of it is necessary, and even if I say so, I'm not talking about myself, you needed an actor who had a body of work for 20, 50, 25, 30 years. It can be made with Mr. Bachchan, it can be made with Salman, it can be made with Ahmed, with Akshay Kumar. You need, and there are lots of others. The reason being that you don't have time to set up a movie star. People should think this is a movie star when they see him. And then a lookalike who wants to not be a movie star, just wants to meet her. So I think it was an interesting take that there are people, who start trying to look like people that they admire, the hairstyle. I used to do it. I used to try to be like Amitji. So it's not a vanity, vehicle for me. As a matter of fact, the biggest worry, I don't have a worry now when the film is done, we can't help it. But I think one of the things that Avi, myself and Manisha felt, that there might be a completely wrong understanding of what I may be in real life when you see the film. When this young girl asks me about 5 minutes, I know a lot of people say, are you like that in real life? You won't give 5 minutes to a fan of yours? And I'm like, no, it's just a story, it's not me. It's another guy, it's called Aryan Khanna, but that's your son's name, so it's you only. And so it's actually a very, very, actually it's really completely opposite to a vanity film. Vanity film is, Rangde, Tumore, I look good looking. Merchandise, I know, I used to find it strange to have, I made it myself actually. I have Ravan's heart made, from the movie, and it sticks on your t-shirt, and if you press it, instead of some, science fiction sounds coming, it starts saying, oh meri chamma challo, I think that's very cool. And I've got only one piece left, and my little son keeps putting it and dropping it, and I'm hoping it doesn't break. It's made in China, but it still lasted a long, long time, and I think that's the coolest merchandise I've made of myself.
Just because it's made in China doesn't mean you can get it on eBay, okay? Just so you know. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think that brings us to the end of a wonderful, more than 5 minutes.
A few questions.
Yes?
Yeah,
okay.
One question.
Come to this gentleman.
It's okay? I can do 2 questions.
Cool.
Hi, Shah Rukh.
Hi.
It's Jaspreet here.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Good, thank you. You're an experienced actor and obviously an experienced producer. Are we any closer to seeing you direct? Is that happening?
I just recently, it's a very lonely job. I'm not ready to be so lonely as yet. And I think if I turn into a director, I would require a couple of years of prep to get into one film. And I have so many commitments as an actor and wanting to act so much more right now, that not for the next 5 years. And I'll genuinely have to assist someone. And I am a little scared of saying, okay, I'm not easily satisfied. So I get really scared when the director is, roll camera, action, okay, next. And I'm like, how next? Can we just do one more, just in case it goes wrong? So I think I need another 4 or 5 years of gaining that confidence, plus wanting to be lonelier before I get. It's a very lonely job. The whole film, everybody's dependent on you. So I think I'm not mentally ready for it as yet.
I feel for the director who will have you as an assistant. Yes, there's a gentleman here at the front. Okay.
Hi there, yes, Sully from Daisy Box.
So I can't hear you, please speak from the mic.
Hi there, Sully from Daisy Box.
How are you?
What I wanted to know from you today was, as a fan, what would people want to know about you? What's the one thing that people don't know about you that they should know about you?
I've been around so long, I think most of the people have asked me most of the things, and I kind of have said them as truthfully and honestly as I can. Having said that, it's a very difficult life to lead. It's really nice to be who I've become as a star, I'm really grateful. But there's a huge part of you that spends time with itself. And that huge part is extremely personal. So I don't know whether it's of anybody's interest to know that, or I can also talk about it. Those are the only moments I get to be with me. But really, there's nothing that, people know how long I spend in a bathroom, people know everything, and there's nothing that they really don't know. But I'm ready to ask, if anybody asks me something, I just kind of answer it.
And secondly, do you actually remember your fans? So you meet millions of fans every day.
Sorry, yeah.
Do you actually remember your fans? So you meet millions of fans every day.
I'm not going to remember your voice because you're missing the microphone so much.
Put the mic in that hand and move the other one. And rather than the same thing.
I'm sorry, I'm joking. Yes, I remember everyone. I don't know, I'm very bad with names. I'm very bad with numbers and names. I forget names of people I've just met 2 minutes ago. And I forget names of characters I forget names of my own children. I confuse them. But I'm very good with remembering people that I've seen, so I remember most of the people.
Hello, over here, Dan, right at the front. Hello.
Hello.
Natalie from Nat Bollywood. My question is, in the trailer we see the the shrine that has been created for you by Gaurav with all the pictures on the wall. I want to know, it must have been a bit weird firstly seeing all those pictures, but in your own home, how many pictures do you have of yourself and which is your favourite one?
I have none actually. None at all, yeah. I have pictures of my kids in my room. We have family pictures in the living room, 2 of them. But I don't have any picture of mine. I find it very awkward to have my own pictures or posters. Though I did about 10-15 years ago, I did tell my team to get me a picture from each film, which is not outside, like it's not a poster, but some private moment on a set, and I'd like to keep it collected. I lost all of them. I don't know where they are, but I'm sure I'll find them on the net somewhere. But I don't have a picture of me, no. In my house, no. With the family, yes, but no picture. Just standing, having that movie star. Yeah. Why? No, I don't have any picture of me.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Shah Rukh. I'm Faisal from Unity 101. तो मेरा सवाल आपसे ये है कि जहाँ भी आपके फ़ैन होते हैं, आप वहाँ पे जाते हो, अपनी मूवी को प्रमोट करते हो, और जैसे आपकी मूवी का नाम भी फ़ैन है, तो अब पाकिस्तान क्यों नहीं जाते और वहाँ जाके अपनी मूवी को कभी प्रमोट करते हुए आपको नहीं देखा? और क्या इसके पीछे कोई डर है, खौफ है या किसी चीज़ का दबाव है?
No, not really. I'll be very honest, Faisal. What happens is, there are certain markets which actually become the centerfold or the center area for marketing for other areas. Like for example, I'm not taking away the importance of Sweden or Germany or France for an Indian film, but you come to England, UK, and do it for everything. Similarly, when we talk about Pakistan, we I think do it in Dubai. It would be difficult to go to all the places. It's extremely difficult. In India itself, Mumbai and Delhi are the central places where we go and market a film, and we're assuming Delhi will reach to the north and Mumbai will be the central, and the South India will do once in a while. So I think it's a practice like that. Besides that, there is no other reason. And yeah, when we go to US, like I've not gone to US for this. It's too far off, and then you have to do a New York and an LA or a Frisco to kind of cover up diaspora and non-diaspora people. Australia we never go. I have no fear of going to Australia either, but I've never been there.
Hello, I'm Indy from France. Your movie is releasing in 50 cities in France.
Yeah, it's a big release. I just got to know the plane. It's one of the widest releases in France this time, yeah.
And in your movie we will see special effects never seen before. What is the next step of Red Chili's VFX?
Yes, what we have done, with the inputs obviously from the director and the whole creative team, I think de-aging with prosthetics has never been done in the world. If it's been done, it's for a couple of minutes, or mostly with VFX, like say Ant-Man, Mr. Michael Douglas young and then older, or Captain America, a part of the body. But to do it for 2 hours has never been attempted because it's a huge process. Like I was trying, it's very boring, so I don't want to describe it. So I think it would require even us. We think we're 6 months short. That's why the film got delayed for 1.5 years. I think we could spend another 6 months. You won't be able to tell the difference, but it was very important to spend more time on it. It's never been done before. So it's not the VFX of how visual effects are considered cars and guns and science fiction films. Here the visual effect is the character itself. Because if you just animated him, just used VFX, it would look like a plastic doll. It won't have feelings, movements. So it needed to have a mix of all this. I think this has been the first time anybody has used for de-aging prosthetics and VFX. Yeah. And inshallah, because VFX is very nascent and new in India, we have the machinery. We don't perhaps have the vision yet to utilize it in Indian films. And I'm hoping with each film, whether it was Ravan, whether it was Krish, I'm not talking the ones where just regular action. We've done lots of films, but I think it's an important step forward. Fan would be in that direction, that we are able to create something in country which is international standard. Hopefully, and we're presenting it around now, and we hope that it really encourages people in India, Indian filmmakers, to understand the importance of technology. If, like you had asked before, Karan says, just not the format. I think the technology really has to improve for us to make world-class cinema.
That's a great place to end it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please join me in wishing Mr. Khan and his team all the very best for Friday for the release. Released by Yash Raj Films, and look out for Gaurav. Of course, he's dressed in his character. And once again, Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, thank you so much for your time, and it's always a pleasure to speak. We wish you all the very best with everything that's
Thank you very much.